Hello and welcome to Ryno's Ravens review. Well, you can see right here, courtesy of BaltimoreRavens.com, Ravens were able to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Not as huge of an injury cost as last week's game, but let's get right into some of the injury news. Article written by Ryan Mink and Clifton Brown. Headline says it all. Marcus Williams wasn't injured in the Bengals game. He was injured in the Texans game. And as of right now, or at least as of the time this article was written, which was Monday, September 18th, 3 something in the afternoon, the organization is going to have Marcus Williams rehab the pectoral injury instead of surgery. Also means he will not be placed on IR. So it's potential that he's only going to miss 3-4 weeks-ish. During yesterday's game against the Bengals, Odell Beckham Jr. and Dafe Owe missed significant time in that game due to ankle injuries. Very little update on Owe, but Odell Beckham Jr. was seen up and suited up still after the injury. So while at halftime he did change into more street clothes, he is able to move around under his own power. So while there is an injury to his ankle, it does not appear to be super significant. All right, now let's get to the numbers of the game. Oh, there's a storyline I wanted to talk about. Pay attention to your notes. Yeah. As I mentioned in the preview show, this really marked the first time that Justice Hill, running back, would be going against his brother, safety Dax Hill. Now, yes, Dax was able to tackle Justice many times. Justice was still able to get good amount of yardage. Didn't see too many times where Justice broke his brother's tackle, but again, somebody trying to call me? Of course. All right, let's get through this real quick then. Again, Justice Hill was tackled several times by his brother, which is somewhat interesting to see, especially with Tiki Barber on the call. At least I think Tiki Barber was on the call, wasn't he? Yeah. All right. Moving on. Numbers. 27 for the Ravens, 24 for the Bengals. Honestly, it was a little closer than the game really felt, which is odd. Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, a lot better throwing this week. 24 completions to 33 attempts. Of course, the Ravens' offense in general looked much better. Far less mistakes. Lamar was able to spread the ball around to a good number of his different weapons. I was kind of surprised that the O-line actually looked pretty good, despite missing Linderbaum at center and Ronnie Stanley at left tackle. To a certain extent, some of that might be because McCary, who filled in at left tackle, should be very close to full strength. Very little limitations, while Stanley, even before he had that knee injury, he was still hampered by that ankle injury he suffered several years ago. So I'm thinking maybe Stanley just really can't move that well. And McCary was able to move a little better. Lamar did have a fumble. It's just something that's right. It was who was it? It was Matt Ryan and Tiki Barber, and who else was it on the call? I can't remember the other one. Tiki mentioned that Lamar carried the ball like Walter Payton, like a loaf of bread. Something I alluded to in previous shows. It was noted later in the game on one another run Lamar Jackson had that he had much better ball security. But as to the fumble that Lamar did lose, technically he didn't lose the fumble because during the play, or I guess before Lamar ended up scrambling out of the pocket, there was I want to say it was hands to the face. Defensive lineman for the Bengals got up high a little bit on Simpson, the left guard, I believe. So that penalty did negate the fumble by Lamar Jackson. The Ravens overall really dominated the time of possession. They really did. And a lot of that was because of the running they were able to do. Yes, Lamar had 24 completed passes for almost 240 yards and 2 touchdowns, but 10 attempts by Gus Edwards at 62 yards with a touchdown, longest 20. Lamar Jackson ran the ball 12 times himself, though I'm sure one or two of them was him getting tackled in the backfield when he was trying to scramble, so he didn't really gain any yards. Lamar did gain 54 yards himself. Justice Hill did get 11 carries, only 41 yards, not as good as, let's say, Edwards, but that is almost 4 yards a rush. So, well, as I mentioned, Dax was able to bring Justice Hill down a number of times. Most of the time, it was not before Justice gained some yards. Duvernay had a couple of those end around jet sweep type of deal runs. A few later in the game to seal the victory. And Flowers also had one himself. So you got several wide receiver runs. You got a bunch of running back runs between 2 running backs. And you got your quarterback running. So that definitely contributed to the Ravens being able to spread the ball around a lot. Of course, potato, you cart before the horse and all that. Honestly, it was probably all contributing to each other. The Ravens were able to spread the ball. Chicken or the egg, that's what I was thinking. Chicken or the egg, right? Ravens able to spread the ball around passing. Ravens able to run the ball. They enhanced each other, really. Aguilar got an uptick in targets. Actually, let's go to NFL.com. This is their game stat page. I kind of like the NFL.com. They, at least the way they do their stat page, they seem to have a little bit more numbers. Here you go. Gus Edwards averaging 6.2 a carry. Lamar Jackson 4.5 a carry. Justice Hill 3.7 a carry. Targets. Odell Beckham went down somewhat early, a little before halftime, so that meant Nelson Aguilar got a little more looks. Aguilar got 6 targets, caught the ball 5 times, 60 yards, and a touchdown. Flowers, 4 catches on 5 targets, 60 yards. Mark Andrews, good to see Mark Andrews back in there doing Mark Andrews things. 5 catches on 8 targets, 45 yards and a touchdown. Beckham, even before the injury, 4 targets, 3 catches, almost 30 yards. Bateman, 3 catches on 3 targets, 18 yards. Justice Hill caught it a few times out of the backfield, likely also got a catch. Not huge receiving yard numbers, but that is kind of what happens when I mean, you can see this right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 guys between. I mean, that's your 4 top receivers and your tight end. And then you got 3 to your running back. 2 catches, 1 catch by your backup tight end, which you're going to want to use depending on the package. You're going to want to use him. And Duvernay got a few targets, but no catches. So again, the numbers aren't going to be, or they may not be, maybe depending on the team that they're playing. The numbers aren't going to be huge as far as receiving numbers because they can spread the ball around so much that is really going to help them. 2 touchdowns on offense. That's, 3 touchdowns. 1 rushing, 2 passing. That's fantastic. 2 field goals by Justin Tucker. So Tucker was 2 for 3 on that day. That's right. Justin Tucker actually missed a field goal. I think the world was coming to an end. I honestly thought as soon as I seen that, the Ravens are going to lose. Because how often does Justin Tucker miss field goals? Don't happen at all. However, all right, let's move on to the defense. Defense played very well against a very high-powered, potent offense like the Cincinnati Bengals. Very good young quarterback who's got 2 really good wide receivers to throw to and a very good running game with Mixon. Mixon's a very good running back. Geno Stone was able to get a pick in the red zone. Cincinnati driving. Almost on the goal line, you throwing the ball to Geno Stone. That's going to help you win the game a lot. 1, it is going to change the possession. Cincinnati was going in looking like they're going to score. Nope, going back the other way now. And it does kind of demoralize the Cincinnati Bengals. So you get the literal sense of being able to flip the script and mentally being able to give it to your opponent. Also, Geno Stone gets credited with a pass defense. Clowney, Darby, Urban, Ardaris Washington, Rock Yasin also gets credited with pass defendeds. Pass defendeds? However you say that word. The lone sack and the number here for sacks is somewhat misleading. Yes. Jadeveon Clowney was able to get his first sack as a Baltimore Raven. And it came late in the game. Again, Cincinnati wanting to go down the field. They are moving the ball a little bit. Nope, sacked. Now, it wasn't too many yards lost, but you were able to drop a man behind the line. For the most part, the defense was able to pressure Burrow. Joe Burrow being the quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, they didn't necessarily sack him a bunch, but this is really that pressure statistic that, it's not really in here, but it is a thing. If you're a quarterback like a Joe Burrow, you want to be sitting back in there, a few steps behind your lineman, and have your time to pick a defense apart. Well, the Ravens weren't exactly doing that. They were not allowing Burrow just to sit there and throw to whoever he wanted to. Burrow was able to move around and do such and such and the other thing and avoid sacks for the most part. That doesn't mean that he was allowed to complete the pass because he was under pressure almost the whole game. The Ravens just weren't able to get home most of the time. Most of the time they forced Joe Burrow to throw an incomplete pass. Where does it say Joe Burrow 27 for 42? That isn't great. Now, he was able to throw for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, but this day and age in the NFL, it's going to happen. Kyle Hamilton made a great, and I cannot remember when this was, was trying to rewatch the game and find it, and I couldn't find it. But he did make a very good tackle in the open field and save somebody from getting big yardage. Said Kyle Hamilton's name too much. Mostly been talking about the linebackers. Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen playing very well this year. Kyle Hamilton is somebody that now does not have the advantage of having a free safety like Marcus Williams sitting next to him. So he kind of has to pick up a little more of that slack of playing the deeper zone and not able to come down in the box as much as the Ravens defense. Mike McDonald or Mark McDonald? Mike McDonald, I think. As much as he would like. But does look like potentially Marcus Williams may not miss as much time as we originally thought. And on what am I? No, I said what I wanted to say with that. One more thing about the defense before I start trying to wrap this up. The corners that the Ravens were able to pick up this year, Darby and Rock Ya-Sin, and even some of the other guys like Washington, not Geno Stone, who the hell is Stevens? They look a lot better than they have in the past. What I'm speaking to is you have your number one corner, and it's like, say, Humphrey when he's in there, or maybe Peters. The rest of the corners used to never look that good. Well, it does appear this year that you're going to have Marlon Humphrey in another week or two, or however long. The other guys don't look too bad. So essentially, even when you get Marlon Humphrey back, he gets slotted in there as number one, and everybody else gets moved down a little bit, may even look even better. I'm not saying they look fantastic, but they look a whole heck of a lot better than they used to look. All right, let's get on to some of the wrapping up of the stuff. Okay, this was just articles that I was looking at. All right, let's look ahead a little bit. The Colts. Yay, the Indianapolis Colts. Coming back into Baltimore, it looks like. Hopefully they won't leave in the middle of the night again. Well, they probably will. Hopefully with their tails tucked between their legs. Wrap this up. Very nice win for the Baltimore Ravens going into Cincinnati. Yes, the game was a little closer than it felt. But win's a win. You go in to your division rival's house and you beat them. It's almost like 2 victories, honestly. It's not. It's only counted as 1. It's a very good win for the Ravens. Damn it. I've been trying to remember to ask for people to like and subscribe early in the video, because I know not everybody, finishes off the video or the play next feature does it too soon. I keep forgetting to do that. Be sure to like and subscribe. One of these days I will get to remembering that early in the video. Okay. We're ready to go now. That is it for this edition of Ryno's Ravens Review. Later on in a week, somewhere between Friday and Saturday, I will have the preview show for that team from Indianapolis coming back. Be sure to like and subscribe. I am the Angry Ryno. Fly, Ravens, fly.